I'm really happy to be joined today by Zuzanna Rudzińska-Bluszcz. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Perfect.
Uh, Zuzanna is a member of our advisory council and is a human rights lawyer who works partially for ClientEarth as the head of their Poland region. Really thank you so much for joining us today, Zuzanna. For those who aren't familiar with your work, maybe you could quickly introduce yourself, your background, and what your goal is with Client Earth.
Yes, hello. Very nice to meet you, Sean, and all of you listening to us and listening to this beVisioneers podcast. I am barrister. I'm Polish. I live in Warsaw, Poland. I'm barrister by training, and since over a decade, I've been engaged in strategic litigation, defending human rights in Poland and before the European courts. And since 2021, I've been, as you mentioned, Sean, I've been head of ClientEarth Foundation in Poland. ClientEarth Foundation in Poland is part of the global ClientEarth family. This is a global charity which uses the power of law to change the world, to protect environment and fight against climate change. So it's kind of like we are law firm with only one client, and this client is our planet, the Earth.
Nice, I really like that. When it comes to building a sustainable future, what makes you optimistic?
How come you think I'm optimistic? This is a presumption. No, but I'm optimistic. If I weren't, I wouldn't be able to love what I do, to be honest. And optimism is one of the features that makes me going, definitely. But what makes me optimistic? I think there are various things. First of all, I don't work alone. I work in team. And I think that once I'm a bit fed up or I lose faith, and you can easily lose faith when it comes to politics, at least in Poland, but I see a broader polarization trend among our nations and various countries. Then I have another team member that pulls me up and says, "Okay, it will be good. We'll keep on fighting." And I think teamwork is one of those items that gives me optimism. Second of all, I think that apart from obvious downsides, COVID brought a bit of optimism because it showed that things can happen overnight globally, and that humanity can work together for the bipartisan good. And if COVID was a crisis that helped to come up with the vaccination, for sure, global warming is one of that kind. That is also a global challenge, and for sure we need bipartisan action and global agreement as to the steps required, and global solidarity. Solidarity is the word that is close to Polish hearts, because solidarity was the famous historical movement back in the 80s, which led to fall of the communism. So I really think that we should take this word out of the drawer and use it for the global warming fight.
Yeah, Solidarność, yeah. Yeah. I think it's really pertinent that you bring up the topic of collaboration, because that's really at the heart of what we're trying to do is collaboration, co-creation, meaning, bringing people from all diverse disciplines together to kind of solve problems collectively. Obviously, like, this is easier said than done. What are some of the kind of like challenges you see in kind of collaboration on like a global scale when it comes to a global challenge like this?
Well, for sure, we are not at the same starting point when it comes to countries. So each country is driven by its own inner politics. So I would say that the biggest challenge are the governments and the politicians, but they are at the same time the biggest hope because we cannot work without systemic change introduced by politicians. So I would say that the biggest challenge is the modern politics, which builds on polarization, which is very much focused on internal affairs and not the global or regional good. And this just is not what climate action needs. Climate actions needs, as I mentioned, solidarity. It needs common action, common goals. Sometimes changing, leading by example and changing the patterns we used to take. The governments don't want to do this. They want to win the elections, not to tell people to change their behaviors, to fly less, buy less, and to be loyal to some nations which are less privileged to the developing world in Africa. So it's pretty complex, and so I would say first of all, the modern politics is a challenge, but also the polarization, the societal polarization, which is built on emotions, on public sphere, and not on merits. But also the third challenge is lack of trust towards the institutions. Us Poles are among the least trusting EU nation, so we don't believe anyone apart from our closest family. And this puts in a difficult position IPCC or other international organizations that try to open our eyes when it comes to climate change.
No, yeah, all really valuable insights. I think really connects to what I was thinking as well. And so far as the legal challenges, that is your discipline. So yeah, I'm also really curious in what you think is the most significant legal challenge in working towards a more sustainable future, in so far as creating sustainable products, policies, sustainable way of life. Obviously, there's a big overlap with politics, but as far as legal victories go, what is the biggest roadblock for us right now?
Well, I would say that European Union, I'm speaking from the European perspective, obviously, because I'm based here. But, I think that countries, generally speaking, should adopt framework climate laws that set the neutrality goal and roadmap towards achieving this neutrality goal. And European Union has such goal, but the biggest legal challenge is that not each and every country globally wants to adopt such law because it's binding. It's binding for decades. Poland, for example, has not legally binding coal phase-out date. There is some agreement with the miners' unions, which indicates that the coal will be used in Poland till 2049, which obviously is too late, considering what we know, what will happen each year with a warming planet. So I would say we are lacking legal framework, which would be bipartisan on the one hand, and on the other hand, we are lacking mechanisms for individual people to bring our governments to courts and to make them accountable for climate politics. There are some challenges, legal challenges and legal pleadings addressed to courts based on human rights. Just recently, there was a case heard before the European Tribunal for Human Rights in Strasbourg that was brought by Portuguese youth. And it was based on right to life, right to health, right to private life, and also on the ban on discrimination, because the things we are not doing now will take a burden upon the next generations, upon you guys. And it will be your world that you will be living in, your children. And therefore, we have to take as much action as possible now to soften the consequences in the future.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think like when it comes to the legal fight, there's a lot of similarities on different fronts as far as like protecting, preserving some sort of heritage to pass on to the next generation. And that's why I'm excited about beVisioneers, because I'm working with the next and now generation, and I see their ideas, their potential. And yeah, I'm just curious, like, if you were to talk to the fellows directly, what would be your pragmatic advice or emotional advice for, enlisting in this fight for a better future?
I'd say go outside your bubble. Don't stick with your bubble. Don't work in silos. I know that social media put us into those comfy place where we get a lot of likes and retweets or shares, but we want to address the problem among all society, and for sure among people that are not usually our friends or allies. So think out of the box and seek alliances that are out of the box, and just think of your work as a marathon, not a sprint. So just think long term, but also take good care of yourself, because we need you for long years to come, not only for a short period. So don't let the burden be too heavy, and take good rest and take good care of yourselves.
Amazing. Yeah, definitely good advice. I think you can easily get lost in just kind of giving yourself up to the bigger cause, and you forget to kind of take care of yourself. But if you can't take care of yourself, then you can't really contribute in a meaningful way. I guess. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry for that. I think that it's a very good example with the plane, where you have to put the mask first up on yourself and then for your child. I think this is what the activists and visioneers should do, and think of themselves when joining this marathon for a better world.
And in regards to ClientEarth, one of your focal points is defending wildlife and habitats. Is that something you yourself have experience in? And what is the future of that kind of legal fight look like?
Well, yes. As we know, the global crisis has three phases. So it's not only the climate change crisis, but it's also the pollution and biodiversity crisis. And we are active in all those three fields. In Poland, we took a big fight over Białowieża forest. This is a primeval forest in the northern Poland, which was being destroyed a few years ago, and massive logging took place there. And we stopped it. We stopped it with legal tools. Namely, we brought a claim to the European Court in Luxembourg, asking for the freeze of logging, and interim measure. And this is what happened. The court said that the logging was illegal. This is also a UNESCO heritage place, so this was clear for us. This is not only for the sake of few activists and people loving nature, but it is for sake of the humankind to protect such areas. But on the other hand, in Poland, there hasn't been any new national park established for the last 20 plus years, which means that we are not enlarging the areas of protecting the nature. Just on the contrary, we use wood mainly for the economy purposes and for sale, which, considering the second phase of the crisis, global crisis, which means the climate change, global warming, is to the detriment of the humanity.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much for your time. I'm gonna leave it there.
Pleasure.
Thank you for the great insights, and yeah, I think the fellows will really appreciate the advice you shared as well. Thanks so much for your time.
I'm keeping fingers crossed for everyone. Thank you.